Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept our obeisances.
Accept my obeisances, Shri Prabhupada. So today we will continue with the study of the first chapter of the 7th canto. The Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. And we will discuss from text 28 till 48. Om Jnana Timanasya Chanansala Shalakaya Shakshvan Militam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamani Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravanya Pacharani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarani Srila Prabhupada Ki. First, I will have a recap and some comments on the part we discussed yesterday. That it was mentioned in one of the previous purports that one who fixes his mind on the Supreme Lord in an unfavorable way, that he will be punished for one lifetime. This was at the end of the purport of 26, that one who blasphemes the Lord is put into a family of Asuras, in which there is every chance for forgetting the service of the Lord. That there was somewhere in this purport that Prabhupada says that Prabhupada writes that one will be punished for one lifetime. It's here. One should not try to worship Krishna unfavorably. Otherwise, he must be punished at least for one life to be purified. That punished for one life. That interesting is in the 4th canto, chapter 29, text 14, in the purport. By living in Vrindavan as a dog, hog, or monkey, the living entity can be elevated to the spiritual platform in the next life. So we can look at this purport. That I will bring it on the screen. Purport of, here it is. That so this is, I read the verse. Asuri medram arvachtvach Vyavayo Gaminan Ratihi Upasto Dharmada Pakto Niritir Kuda Uchate. The city called Gramaka, which is approached through the lower gate of Asuri, the genital organ, is meant for sex, which is very pleasing to common men, who are simply fools and rascals. The faculty of procreation is called durmada, and the rectum is called niriti. Purport. When the world becomes degraded, civilization becomes demoniac. And for the common man, the rectum and the genitals are taken very seriously as the centers of all activity. Even in such a sacred place as Vrindavan, India, unintelligent men pass off this rectal and genital business as spiritual activity. Such people are called sahaja. According to their philosophy, through sexual indulgence, one can elevate oneself to the spiritual platform. From these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, however, we understand that the desires for sexual satisfaction are meant for the arvak, the lowest among men. To rectify these rascals and fools is very difficult. After all, the sex desires of the common man are condemned in these verses. The word durmada means wrongly directed, and niriti means sinful activity. All this clearly indicates that sex indulgence is abominable and misdirected. Even from the ordinary point of view, the sadhus nonetheless pass themselves off as devotees conducting spiritual activities. For this reason, Vrindavan is no longer visited by intelligent men. We are often asked why we have made our center in Vrindavan. From the external point of view, it can be concluded that Vrindavan has become degenerate due to these sadhya activities. Yet from the spiritual point of view, Vrindavan is the only place where all these sinful activities can be rectified by means of taking birth in the form of dogs, hogs and monkeys. By living in Vrindavan as a dog, hog or monkey, the living entity can be elevated to the spiritual platform in the next life. So one life punished in Vrindavan, and next life you come to the spiritual platform. Here that's also confirmed. I'm a few times every year at Govardhan, and a few weeks ago I was at Govardhan, and in the early morning, at the time of the sunrise, I went at Govardhan and sat at the feet of Govardhan Hill together with maybe 100 monkeys. Interesting. Especially these monkeys were very peaceful. They did not do any mischief. Interesting. And around Govardhan you have also many dogs, but none of these dogs is barking. They are like sadhus. That's interesting. Prepared for the next life to become devotees. We go back to okay. This is so. Regardless of one's mood, focusing the mind on the Lord is beneficial. So we have read the purport, but here are some excerpts which explains the essence. Anything done by those who have taken the attitude of enemies will be baffled. Mogasa Moga Karmani. That this verse from the 9:12, I think, from Bhagavad Gita, that if these enemies try to be liberated or to merge into the existence of Brahman, if they desire to be elevated to the higher planetary systems as karmis, or even if they desire to return home back to Godhead, they will certainly be baffled. As for Hiranyakashipu, although he was extremely inimical toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he always thought of his son, who was a great devotee. Therefore, by the grace of his son Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu was also delivered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's interesting, by the mercy of Prahlad. Then we are at 27. Narada Muni displays humility. He says, according to his opinion, the enemies of Krishna are better situated. We read this purport yesterday. Now, the gopis' absorption in Krishna. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:82-47. I think that's the gopis meeting Krishna at Kurukshetra. Having thus been instructed by Krishna in spiritual matters, the gopis were freed from all tinges of false ego because of their incessant meditation upon him. And with their deepening absorption in him, they came to understand him fully. We can read this purport 10:82-47. So if we go to 10:82-47, 10:82-47. Moment. Here we have to go back. Then 82. $47. Can someone read the purport?
Can I read, Maharaj?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Purport by Divine Srila Prabhupada being that Srila Prabhupada renders this passage as follows in Krishna. The gopis, having been instructed by the Krishna in this philosophy of simultaneous oneness and difference, remained always in Krishna consciousness and thus became liberated from all material contamination. The consciousness of the living entity who falsely presents himself as the enjoyer of the material world is called Jiva Kosha, which means imprisonment by the false ego. Not only the gopis, but anyone who follows these instructions of Krishna becomes immediately free from the Jiva Kosha imprisonment. A person in full Krishna consciousness is always liberated from false egoism. He utilizes everything for Krishna service and is not at any time separated from Krishna.
Yes. That the Jiva Kosha covering. We are imprisoned in this world through false ego. Go back to our slideshow. Good. Then this is from the third canto, chapter 2, verse 24. Narada Muni says that I consider the demons who are inimical toward the Lord to be more than the devotees, because while fighting with the Lord, absorbed in thoughts of enmity, they are able to see the Lord carried on the shoulder of Garuda, the son of Tarskya, Kashyap, and carrying the wheel weapon in his hand. Srila Prabhupada who comments on this verse. The demon's salvation is not due to their being devotees. It is to his causeless mercy. Yeah. Of course, when here Srila Prabhupada writes this, that it's not due to their being devotees, but salvation or liberation. You have two kinds of liberation. That you have the impersonal liberation, or you have the liberation of going back to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. The last one is self-realization. This is not self-realization, it's just freedom from suffering, entering Brahman. That's in general the destination of these demons. But Jaya and Vijaya are different. They come from the spiritual world, the special assignment, and after going to this assignment, when it's completed, they go back to their position in the spiritual world. This is also Bhaktivedanta Thakur in one of his songs. The song Gopinath. You know that song. Oh Gopinath, I am so sinful that all the demons attained your lotus feet. Bhaktivedanta has remained in worldly existence. So Bhurijan Prabhu says of verses 28 and 29, this verse is the root of Raganuga Bhakti. And now we are going to read this verse. That's where we came last time. We go back here, share, but we go here. Good. So I will read the translation, then we can go to the purport. A grass worm, yes, Mother Divya Rasi.
No, Maharaj, I'm just trying to read.
Yeah, you can read the purport. I will first read the translation, okay? A grass worm confined in a hole of a wall by a bee always thinks of the bee in fear and enmity, and later becomes a bee simply because of such remembrance. Similarly, if the conditioned soul somehow or other think of Krishna, who is Satchidananda Vigraha, they will become free from their sins, whether thinking of him as their worshipful Lord or as an enemy. Because of constantly thinking of him, they will regain spiritual bodies. Okay, now just a moment, go a little. You can read the purport just until the end of the second paragraph, liberation from the clutches of material Maya.
In Bhagavad Gita 4.10, the Lord says, Vidaraga Bhayatroda Manmayama Mukashruta Bahavo Dhyana Tapasa Uta Madbhavamagataha. Being free from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. There are two ways of constantly thinking of Krishna, as a devotee and as an enemy. A devotee, of course, by his knowledge and tapasya, becomes free from fear and anger and becomes a pure devotee. Similarly, an enemy, although thinking of Krishna inimically, thinks of him constantly and also becomes purified. This is confirmed elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 9.30, where the Lord says, Apichet suduracharo bhajate mamananyabhar sadureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hisaha. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he engages in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. A devotee undoubtedly worships the Lord with rapt attention. Similarly, if an enemy, Suduracharaha, always thinks of Krishna, he also becomes a purified devotee. The example given here concerns the grassworm that becomes bee-like because of constantly thinking of the bee that forces it to enter a hole. By always thinking of the bee in fear, the glassworm starts to become a bee. This is a practical example. Lord Krishna appears within this material world for two purposes. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chatuskratam. To protect the devotees and annihilate the demons. The sadhus and devotees certainly think of the Lord always. But Dushkritis, the demons like Kamsa and Sishupala, also think of Krishna in terms of killing him. By thinking of Krishna, both the demons and devotees attain liberation from the clutches of material Maya.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lord.
So I will read the last part. This verse uses the word Maya Manuje. When Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appears in his original spiritual potency, Sambhavamyatmamayaya, he is not forced to accept a form made by material nature. Therefore, the Lord is addressed as Ishvara, the controller of Maya. He is not controlled by Maya. When a demon continuously thinks of Krishna because of enmity towards him, he is certainly free from the sinful reactions of his life. To think of Krishna in any way, in terms of his name, form, quality, paraphernalia, or anything pertaining to him, is beneficial for everyone. Shimvata svagata punya shravana kirtana. Thinking of Krishna, hearing the holy name of Krishna, hearing the pastimes of Krishna will make one pure. And then he will become a devotee. Our Krishna consciousness movement is therefore trying to introduce the system of somewhere or other letting everyone hear the holy name of Krishna and take Krishna Prasad. Thus one will surely become a devotee and his life will be successful. So, yeah. This is the example of the gasworm in a hole who thinks of fear of a bee and then becomes later a bee. Yaduraj Krishna Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, question Maharaj.
Yes.
Maharaj, just now we heard that the demons, because they were thinking of Krishna, they got purified. But in the case of Kamsa and Shishupal, they seem to never get purified because they were demon until they were killed by Krishna. So how we can understand that the statement says that by thinking of Krishna, the demon got purified? Because we know that whoever died in the hand of Krishna will get liberated. So Kamsa and Sisupal got liberated because they were thinking of Krishna or because they died in the hand of Krishna.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that if we fix our mind on Krishna, we become purified. But the extent we become purified depends on our inner attitude. The appropriate inner attitude to become purified is to be situated in Sambandha Jnana, knowing who Krishna is, who we are, and what our relationship is. To understand one is a servant of the servant of the servant of the lover of the gopis. And Kamsa had not that inner attitude. But of course, finally, he was killed by Krishna. And there his purification was complete. And he got liberation. But the lesson here to be learned is, yes, you can think of Krishna, but also your inner attitude must be correct. That, like if we chant a holy name and we commit aparadh, what will be the effect of the holy name? Very little. But the holy name is Krishna. Seeing Krishna, or thinking of Krishna, of chanting the holy name, meditating on the holy name is the same. The same thing. So it depends, and we discussed that before, that in Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada writes the progress in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. And Kamsa's attitude was not right. But still he became purified, but it went slow. But finally, when he came in touch with Krishna, he was killed by Krishna, his purification was complete. But that does not mean that he became a devotee. No, his simple reactions were gone, that's all. So that we have to understand in an appropriate way, that thinking of Krishna favorably or unfavorably. But the good thing of Kamsa was his concentration on Krishna was very intense. He started to see Krishna everywhere. In his soup there were yellow vegetables, and he was thinking of Krishna. And one day he saw two of his queens, and he saw them as Krishna and Balaram, and he was going to take his sword to kill them. And his queen said, "Oh, Kamsa, cool down, we are your queens." But his meditation was very intense. Okay, let's go now to the here PowerPoint. So this is the root of Raganuga Bhakti that Purijan Prabhu says. We will try to understand that. So this is the example of the caterpillar. The caterpillar weaves a cocoon and enters it. His body dies and it becomes a butterfly. What has to die within us? The false ego has to die within us. The essence of false ego is aham mameti, I'm mine. We don't want to become caterpillars. We want to be butterflies. All Krishna conscious, yes. So yes, we have to search after the essence as a swan. A swan takes from a mixture of water and milk, takes only the milk. So we have to retreat from our ordinary life, Satchinanda Maharaj said. So we are at the purport here, but here is the essence from what we read in the purport. Whether thinking of the Lord as a friend or as an enemy, because of constantly thinking of him, they regain their spiritual bodies. An example, a grass worm confined in a hole of a wall by a bee always thinks of the bee in fear and later becomes a bee simply because of such remembrance. An enemy always thinking of Krishna inimically thinks of the Lord constantly and becomes purified. Apachat Shudrajara. Thinking of Krishna, hearing the holy name, hearing the pastimes of Krishna will make one pure. And then one will become a devotee. So there are always these two stages. By thinking of Krishna, you become pure. And if you are pure and you continue thinking of Krishna, you develop love for Krishna. These are two stages. As long as you are not pure, you cannot feel love. To the extent you become pure, you will feel love for Krishna. That. It's verse 30. We will go to the next verse first. Yes, we have to stop the sharing. Go back. to the next verse. So this is a very famous verse. Could be a memorization verse for you, I don't know. Kamat vesha bayasnihat yata bhaktyas varemana avasyatat agam mitva bhavastat gatim gata. Many persons have attained liberation simply by thinking of Krishna with great determination and giving up sinful activities. This great attention may be to lusty desires, inimical feeling, fear, affection, or devotional service. I shall now explain how one receives Krishna's mercy, simply by concentrating one's mind on him. And here we have a verse from the 10th canto, 33. That is the end of the rasa dance of the gopis, I think. 39. Vikreditam vacha vabubir imam savishnu chadam vetonus shenuyat atavarnayatya bhaktim param bhagavati patilabhya kaman ritrohamasvapainotasyenadira. If a bona fide listener hears of Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, which seem to be lusty affairs, the lusty desires in his heart, which constitute the heart disease of the conditioned soul, will be vanquished, and he will become a most exalted devotee of the Lord. If one who hears the gopis' lusty behavior with Krishna becomes free from lusty desires, certainly the gopis who approached Krishna became free from all such desires. Similarly, Sisupal and others who were very much envious of Krishna and were constantly thought of Krishna became free from envy. Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda were fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness because of affection. When the mind is somehow or other fully absorbed in Krishna, the material part is very soon vanquished, and the spiritual part, attraction to Krishna, becomes manifest. This indirectly confirms that if one thinks of Krishna enviously, simply because of thinking of Krishna, he becomes free from all sinful reactions, and thus becomes a pure devotee. Examples are given in the following verse. So, it said here, Sisupal and others who were very much envious of Krishna and were constantly thought of Krishna became free from envy, so they became purified. And Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda were fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness because of affection, out of love. There's an enormous difference. Let's see the comments to this. Go back. So even if one is attracted by Godhead in the mode of material lust, such attraction is converted into spiritual love of Godhead by His grace. That's always important. If we think of Krishna, if it's by the mercy of Krishna we become purified. Das ist verschieden, Shimvatas Vakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtna Ridyanta Toya Bhatrani. If we do not Sritsatam, one becomes attracted to hearing about Krishna, then Krishna from within the heart purifies. Also Tesam Satayuknam Bhajnam Pedavavkam Dadami Buddhyogam Yena Mamupayantiti. We serve Krishna with a little love. Krishna gives us Bhakti Yoga. That's Bhakti Yoga he gives us Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga is transcendental realization. He gives us realization. So it's Krishna who gives. He wants to give or he doesn't give. That's up to him. It's not an automatic process. the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 535. We will read that 535. That Adi Lila. Then we have to go back to our Veda base. Go back to the Veda base. Then here, moment. I have to move a few things here. 535. Adi Lila 535. Yeah. That's the same verse, but we have the commentary here. Can someone read the purport of the verse?
And the powerful sun, by its glowing rays, can purify all kinds of impurities. So the all spiritual personality of Godhead can purify all material qualities in a person he attracts. Even if one is attracted by Godhead in the mode of material lust, such attraction is converted into spiritual love of Godhead by His grace. Similarly, if one is related to the Lord in fear and animosity, he also becomes purified by the spiritual attraction of the Lord. Although God is great and the living entity small, they are spiritual individuals. And therefore, as soon as there is a reciprocal exchange by the living entity's free will, at once the great spiritual being attracts the small living entity, thus freeing him from all material bondage. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 7:130.
Yeah, so interesting here is, because 7130 is a verse we are reading now, that Prabhupada writes, as soon as there is a reciprocal exchange between the living entities' free will, at once the great spiritual being attracts the living entity. So soon there is a reciprocal exchange. That exchange was not really there by Kamsa. Kamsa was thinking of Krishna, but not out of free will. That at once the great spiritual being attracts the small living entity. Therefore, he did not become attracted to Krishna out of love. That because he wanted to kill Krishna. Interesting. That good. We're going back to our verse 30. This is from Adi 536. That was the next verse, where it has been stated that the Lord's enemies and devotees attain the same destination. This refers to the ultimate oneness of Brahman and Lord Krishna. This may be understood that the example of the sun and sunshine, in which Brahman is like the sunshine and Krishna himself is like the sun. That read purport on Jai and Vijay. We are going back to the Chaitanya Charitamrita and read these verses. There we will learn more. So we go to the next verse. So, where it has been stated that the Lord's enemies and devotees attain the same destination, this refers to the ultimate oneness of Brahman and Lord Krishna. This may be understood by the example of the sun and the sunshine, in which Brahman is like the sunshine and Krishna himself is like the sun. So that was the verse that Can someone read the first paragraph?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, please.
This verse is from the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.278 of Shri Rupa Goswami, who further discusses the same topic in his Laghu Bhagavata Amrita Purva 5.41. There he refers to the Vishnu Puran 4.15.1, where Maitre Muni asked Parashara in regard to Jaya and Vijay, how it was that Hiranyakashipu next became Ravan and enjoyed more material happiness than the demigods but did not attain salvation. Although when he became Shishupal, quarreled with Krishna and was killed, he attained salvation and merged into the body of Lord Krishna. Parashar replied that Hiranyakashipu failed to recognize Lord Nrsimhadev as Lord Vishnu. He thought that Nrsimhadev was some living entity who had acquired such opulence by various pious activities. Being overcome by the mode of passion, he considered Lord Nrsimhadev on an ordinary living entity, not understanding his form. Nevertheless, because Hiranyakashipu was killed by the hands of Lord Nrsimhadev, in his next life he became Ravan and had proprietorship of unlimited opulence. As Ravan, with unlimited material enjoyment, he could not accept Lord Ram as the personality of Godhead. Therefore, even though he was killed by Ram, he did not attain Sahajya or oneness with the body of the Lord. In his Ravan body, he was too much attracted to Ram's wife, Janaki, and because of that attraction, he was able to see Lord Ram. But instead of accepting Lord Ram as an incarnation of Vishnu, Ravan thought him an ordinary living being. When killed by the hands of Ram, therefore he got the privilege of taking birth as Shishupal, who had such immense opulence that he could think himself a competitor to Krishna. Although Shishupal was always envious of Krishna, he frequently uttered the name of Krishna and always thought of the beautiful features of Krishna. Thus, by constantly thinking and chanting of Krishna, even unfavorably, he was cleansed of the contamination of the simple activities. When Shishupal was killed by the Sudarshan Chakra of Krishna as an enemy, his constant remembrance of Krishna dissolved the reactions of his vices and he attained salvation by becoming one with the body of the Lord. Hare Krishna, thank
So
you.
from this we can understand, like Shishupal, that he was constantly remembering the Lord, that and therefore his karma, previous karma, disappeared. That, but his enviousness remained till the last moment, and still being killed by Krishna, all his karma went, and he joined with Brahman. But he was not situated in Sambandha. He didn't know who Krishna was. That he didn't know his own position in his spiritual relationship. Mother Sundari Gopian, please.
So, Maharaj, as we understand that Hiranyakashipu was thinking about his son, and Ravan was more attracted to Rama's wife. So, in case of Hiranyaksha, what was his mindset? Why he didn't get liberation, though he was killed by Varadev?
Yeah, he saw
He was more.
Varadev, and he called Varadev
Varadev, yeah.
an amphibious beast.
Oh,
So
okay.
he could not recognize him as a supreme
As the
personality of
Supreme
Godhead.
Lord. Not
Yeah.
And same with Kumbhakarna and Kumbhakarna?
Yeah, Kumbhakarna, I don't know that, But Ravan, yes, it's mentioned here in the purport. He was attracted
Yeah. Right.
to Lord Ram's wife, and therefore he was thinking sometimes of Ram in that sense. But yeah.
Sorry, Maharaj. I mean, this in Kumbhakarna's case, was he? There was also no sambandh again.
No, that certainly
And
not.
in Dantavakra's case, I mean, he was just meditating. I don't know so much about Dantavakra because sorry,
Dantavakra is only shortly mentioned, but it's in the same case as Sisipal, more or less.
Shishupal. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Maharaj. That clarifies. Thank you.
Maybe we'll read also next verse here. Thus in the spiritual sky there are varieties of pastimes within the spiritual energy. Outside the Vaikuntha planets appears the impersonal reflection of light. And then next. The impersonal effulgence consist only of the effulgent rays of the Lord. Those fit for Saucha, liberation, merge into that effulgence. That's where they go. Because they don't have a relationship with Krishna. They become purified, but they cannot enter Vaikuntha. But we have to be careful if we speak about Jai and Vijay, and who appeared as Ravan, Kumbhakarna, and Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakasipu, and then Shishupal and Dantavakra. In one of the purports, it is said that deep in their heart they knew that the personality they are fighting with is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they were Jai and Vijay. They knew deep in their heart, but they forgot for the pastime. That we have the same thing. Our relationship with Krishna is natural. And deep in our hearts, everyone knows there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we all have spiritual amnesia. That we forgot. Because Srila Prabhupada said Krishna consciousness is natural for the spirit soul. That it's not something we have to develop. We have something that we have to revive. And that's interesting. Okay. Then we will read text 31. I will now start reading I will start reading the verses, the story told by Narada Muni now about Jai and Vijay till the end. And then we will come back. But I will read all the verses now in one. We are Canto 7, chapter 131. Yeah. So, Kopya Kamabhya Kamso Tvishakshatya Dayonipa Sambandha Vishnaya Sneha Jyuyam Bhaktya Vayam Vibhu. My dear King Yudhishthir, the gopis by their lusty desires, Kamsa by his fear, Sisupal and other kings by envy, the Yadus by their familial relationship with Krishna, you Pandavas by a great affection for Krishna, and we the general devotees by our devotional service obtained the mercy of Krishna. That So, of course, they got all the mercy of Krishna. Does not mean they got the same destination. That's different. But can someone read the purport, please?
Different persons achieve different types of mukti. Shayuya, Salakya, Sarupya, Samipya, and Sashti, according to their own intense desire, which is called bhava. Thus, it is described here that the gopis, by their lusty desires, which were based upon their intense love for Krishna, became the most beloved devotee of the Lord. Although the gopis at Vrindavan expressed their lusty desires in relationship with the Paramount, Parakya Rasa, they actually had no lusty desires. This is significant of spiritual advancement. Their desires appeared lusty, but actually they were not the lusty desires of the material world. Chaitanya Charitamrita compares the desires of the spiritual and material world to gold and iron. Both gold and iron are metal, but there is a vast difference in their value. The lusty desires of the gopis for Krishna are compared to gold, and material lusty desires are compared to iron. Kamsa and other enemies of Krishna merged into the existence of Brahman. But why should Krishna's friends and devotees have the same position? Krishna's devotees attain the association of the Lord as his constant companions, either in Vrindavana or in the Vaikuntha planets. Similarly, although Narada Muni wanders in the three worlds, he has exalted devotion for Narayana, Aishwarya Man, the Vishnus and the Yadus, and the father and mother of Krishna in Vrindavana all have familial relationship with Krishna. Krishna's foster father and mother in Vrindavana, however, are more exalted than Vasudeva and Devaki.
Yes. That difference between iron and gold, lust and love. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami spent practically an entire chapter explaining this. So important is it to understand the difference. So it said, Kamsa and other enemies, they merged into the existence of Brahman. They became purified, but their relationship with Krishna was not yet fixed. Therefore, they are in Brahman waiting for coming back to the material world and get another chance. Of course, in Jai and Vijay, that's a pastime. Go further. Now, about Vena. Katamo pina Vena syat panshanam purusham pati tasmat kenapyupajena mana krishne nivasayat. Somehow or other, one must consider the form of Krishna very seriously. Then by one of the 5 different processes mentioned above, one can return back to Godhead. It is like King Vena, however, being unable to think of Krishna in any of these 5 forms, cannot attain salvation. Therefore, one must think of Krishna, whether in a friendly or an inimical way. So that's the difference. You have both are demons, or play the role of demons. King Vena and Sisupal, but they got a different result. Because Sisupal was thinking of Krishna, he was entering the Brahman, and Vena, he went to hell. So that is the difference here. It is said at the end of the purport, except for Sisupal, those who go against the regulative principles cannot attain salvation and are surely destined for hellish life. It means Sisupal, he went to Brahman because he was before Jai and Vijay. Otherwise he would also go to hell. Yes, just for Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj Pranam. My question is, I have a question actually. The question is that sometimes we pray to the Lord for a benefit, for something, maybe, for example, let's say to get a good job. And we are praying and praying and praying, and we are not getting any result, or we are not getting anything substantial. And so we are thinking, like, is the Lord listening to my prayer? And at sometimes we hit the rock bottom and we think, does God really exist? Does Krishna, is really existing? I'm praying so much. So is this way of thinking, because we are talking about thinking here, is this way of thinking favorable or unfavorable?
And that's Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvida bhajantamam yechna sukritarana artha shikhna shartarti jnanasa bharatarshava. So there are 4 pious persons who approach me, those with material desires, those who want wealth, those who want knowledge, those who want the absolute truth, to know the absolute truth. They are all pious, but they have material desires. So Krishna said it's good that you pray to Krishna, even for material things, that will purify you. But we have to consider that we should consider that Krishna is not our order supplier. We are the servant of Krishna. Pure devotional service means we accept the situation gives us. And we pray to Krishna, please let me engage myself in your service. I don't ask anything for myself. I only want to serve you. So if you pray for getting a good job and so on, nice. Or to succeed in your exams, but pray then for Krishna that yes, when I get this diploma, I promise you I will use it in your service. And then you connect it with Krishna. But it's up to Krishna to fulfill that or not. He's not your order supplier. And our faith should not be in such reciprocations. Because if we want things for our sense gratification and we pray for that for the Lord, that's inappropriate because that is an attitude which goes against devotional service. That's materialistic. But anyway, whether Krishna will fill your desires or not, it will purify you because Krishna is connected with it. And that's most important. So Krishna always reciprocates. Mostly, if Krishna fulfills a material desire of a devotee, he fulfills the desire and he takes it away at the same time. And that's wonderful. That only Krishna can do that. When I came to devotional service, I was a chartered accountant and I liked to drive big cars. I had a big BMW. So I joined, and my spiritual master gave me the order. Okay, you are an accountant. I was an accountant at the time, but he wanted me to become a chartered accountant, higher level. And for that, I had to go from the temple in Radedesh to Antwerp and back 3 times a week. And that's about 3 times a week is about 1,000 kilometers. And I had to do it for 18 months. 18 months. 1,000 kilometers a week. After 18 months, I didn't want to drive a car anymore. So Krishna fulfilled my desire to drive a big car, but he took it away at the same time. So in that way, but it's up to Krishna to fulfill that desire or not. But we should always think it's inappropriate for me to pray for that to the Lord, because I'm his servant. He's not my servant or my order supplier. So we should always consider that. But Krishna may or may not. That's up to him. Thank you. Yaduraj Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, I have a question. Maharaj, in one of the slide, Maharaj said that Hiranyakashipu, by thinking of his son Prahlad, got purified and he got liberated because he died in the hand of Krishna. So Maharaj, how we can understand, because Hiranyakashipu died in Satyayuga, and then he was born as Ravana and then Kumbhakarna in Treta Yuga. So in between, can we say that Hiranyakashipu, Hiraksha got liberated, they emerged into Brahma, remained there, and then born as Ravana and Kumbhakarna in Treta Yuga?
Yeah, that's correct. They merged temporarily in the Brahmajyoti and then took birth again. But the time experience in the Brahmajyoti is different than in the material sense. That it's like there is practically nothing between for them. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So now we are going to read a bit. So Narada Muni continued, O best of the Pandavas, your two cousins, Sisupal and Dantavraka, the sons of your material aunt, were formerly associates of Lord Vishnu, but because they were cursed by the Brahmins, they fell from Vaikuntha to this material world. Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired, what kind of curse could affect even a liberated Vishnu Bhaktas? And what sort of person could curse even the Lord's associates? For influencing devotees of the Lord to fall again in this material world is impossible. I cannot believe this. The bodies of the inhabitants of Vaikuntha are completely spiritual, have nothing to do with the material body. The senses or life there. Therefore, please explain how associates of the personality of Godhead were cursed to descend in material bodies like ordinary persons. The great Saint Narada said, once upon a time the four sons of Lord Brahma, named Sanak, Sanatan, Sanat and Sanat Kumar, were wandering throughout the three worlds. They came by chance to Vishnu Loka. Although these great sages were older than Brahma's other sons like Marichi, they appeared like small naked children, only 5 or 6 years old. When Jai and Vijay saw them trying to enter Vaikuntha Loka, these two gatekeepers, thinking them ordinary children, forbade them to enter. Thus checked by the doorkeepers, Jai and Vijay, Sanandana, and the other great sages very angrily cursed them. You two foolish doorkeepers, they said, being agitated by the material qualities of passion and ignorance, you are unfit to live at the shelter of Madhudvisa's lotus feet, which are free from such modes. It would be better for you to go immediately to the material world and take your birth in a family of most sinful asuras. When Jai and Vijay, thus cursed by the sages, were falling to the material world, they were addressed as follows by the same sages, who were very kind to them. O doorkeepers, after 3 births, you will be able to return to your positions in Vaikuntha, for then the duration of the curse will have ended. These two associates of the Lord Jai and Vijay later descended to the material world, taking birth as the sons of Diti, Hiranyakashipu being the elder, and Hiranyaksha the younger. They were very much respected by the Daityas and the Danavas, demoniac species. Appearing as Nrsimhadev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri killed Hiranyakashipu when the Lord delivered the planet Earth, which had fallen in the Garbhodaka ocean. Hiranyaksha tried to hinder him, and then the lotus Vara killed Hiranyaksha. Desiring to kill his son Prahlad, who was a great devotee of the Lord, Hiranyakashipu tortured him in many ways. The Lord, the super soul of all living entities, is sober and peaceful and equal to everyone. Since the great devotee Prahlad was protected by the Lord's potency, Hiranyakashipu was unable to kill him, in spite of endeavoring in various ways. Thereafter, the same Jai and Vijay, the two doorkeepers of Lord Vishnu, took birth as Ravan and Kumbhakarna, begotten by Vishrava in the womb of Keshini. They were extremely troublesome to all the people of the universe. Narada continued. My dear king, just to relieve Jai and Vijay of the Brahman's curse, Lord Ramachandra appeared in order to kill Ravan and Kumbhakarna. It would be better for you to hear narrations about Lord Ramachandra's activities from Markandeya. In their third birth, the same Jai and Vijay appeared in a family of Kshatriyas as your cousins, the sons of your aunt. Because Lord Krishna has struck them with his disc, all their sinful reactions have been destroyed, and now they are free from the curse. These two associates of Lord Vishnu, Jai and Vijay, maintained a feeling of enmity for a long time, a very long time. Because of always thinking of Krishna in that way, they regained shelter of the Lord, having returned home back to Godhead. So Yudhishthira Maharaj inquired, O my Lord Narada Muni, why was there such an enmity between Hiranyakashipu and his beloved son Prahlad Maharaj? How did Prahlad Maharaj become such a great devotee of the Lord? Kindly explain me. So this is the end of this chapter. Yes. Atichandra Govindapur.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I'm sorry there could be some disturbance in my sound. I begging pardon for that. But in this verse we read that Jaya and Vijaya were affected by material qualities of passion and ignorance. How Vaikuntha planet can have material qualities of this passion and ignorance, Maharaj? Is it that same quality or there's some difference?
Some of our acharyas say they appeared in spiritual bodies. It's difficult to understand. That's inconceivable. But yes, by the Lord's mercy, they were influenced by passion and ignorance, so to play faithfully the role of demons. But deep in their heart they knew that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But it was covered for the moment. They wanted to do the service, and Krishna wants them to do the service sincerely. So he covers them by the mouths but deep in their heart they knew Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that they were playing the role. That's interesting. It's inconceivable for us to understand that So, but we will go back now and,
Thank you, Maharaj.
and share some deeper thoughts. So, of course, we start with text 31. This how the gopis by their lusty desires that attain perfection. The gopis' thoughts are only to give Krishna enjoyment. It is not lust or from this world. So lust is selfish. Their spiritual lust was love, only to give Krishna enjoyment. Pure love means I want to please the beloved. I do everything. I'm ready to sacrifice everything just to please the beloved. That's pure love. That this from 10:43:17. So the various groups. That's Krishna entering the arena, I think, of the wrestlers. The various groups of people in the arena regarded Krishna in different ways when he entered with his elder brother. The wrestlers saw Krishna as a lightning bolt, the men of Mathura as the best of males, the women as Cupid in person, the coward men as their relatives, the impious rulers as a chastiser, his parents as their child, the king of the Bhujas as deaf, the unintelligent as the Supreme Lord's universal form, the yogis as the absolute truth, and the Vrishnis as their supreme worshipable deity. So Krishna reciprocates with our consciousness, with how we want to see him. So there were three categories here. The enemies, that were the wrestlers, the kings, the allies of Kamsa and Kamsa. Then the fools, those who see Krishna as the universal form. They think that the Lord's form is made of material elements. And the wise, the philosophers and the other persons mentioned in this verse. There is some wisdom in their vision. So that's Nectar of Devotion, chapter 24. Krishna is the quality of predominating. We will read examples from Nectar of Devotion, chapter 24. We go to Nectar of Devotion, chapter 24. Nectar of Devotion. Oh, it's here. Chapter 24. Predominating. Can someone read that? It's on the screen.
A person who can affect the mind of everyone is called predominating. As far as Krishna predomination is concerned, in the 10th canto, 43rd chapter, verse 17 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is described thus by Shukdev Goswami to King Parikshit. My dear king, Krishna is a thunderbolt in the restless. To the common man, he is the most beautiful human being to the young girl. He is just like Cupid to the cowherd man and the woman. He is the most intimate relation to the impious king. He is the supreme ruler to his parent, Nand and Yashoda, he is just a baby. But to Kansa, the king of the Bhoj, he is a death person boy. So the dumb and the stupid, he just like a stone. To the yogi, he is a supreme absolute truth. And to the Vishnu, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. In such a predominantly magician, Krishna appeared in the arena along with the elder brother Balram. When Krishna, the reservoir of all mallows, represent in the arena of Tarsa. He appeared differently to the different person who were related to him in different mallows. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, and he appeared to every person according to one relationship with them.
Yeah. And the last paragraph, sometimes.
Sometimes learned scholar describe predominating to mean a person intolerance by being neglected. This particularity in Krishna was visible when Kansa was insulting Maharaj Nanda. Vasudeva was asking Krishna assistance in killing Kansa, and Krishna was glazing over Kansa with longing eyes just like the prostitute and was not prepared to jump off the king. Jump at the king.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Very beautiful. Okay, we will now have a pause. It's in India 4:45. We will pause till 5 o'clock for 14 minutes and then discuss again the last part, the comments on the last verses that we read, the story of Jai and Vijay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Recording stop. Recording in progress. Recording stopped.